in South Armagh who have been forthright in their support for the PSNI and against criminality. A booby-trap bomb was left close to the home of a local Sinn Féin leader, Frank McCabe. And Francis McCabe Jr., whose only offence is that he's from a Republican family, he's a good, decent, hard-working man and a good neighbour, was seriously injured. Now, as you know, Taoiseach, issues from the north, especially from the border area, are generally seized upon by some politicians here to attack Sinn Féin. In this instance, bhí siad go háan ciúin. But this was a serious attack, an attempt to kill, an attack on the peace process. And as far as I can gather, Taoiseach, the government has been silent. Those involved are part of a small number of criminals who are responsible over the years for the killing of volunteer Keith Rogers, the beating to death of Paul Quinn, the murder of Garda Adrian Donoghue and the wounding of Michael Ballew very recently. They've also threatened the life of Conor Murphy MP and another Republican family, the Corrahers. So, Taoiseach, will you condemn the attempt to murder Francis McCabe Jr.? Will you ensure that adequate resources are given to An Garda Síochána to properly investigate the activities of these criminals? Will you ensure that there's a full cooperation with the PSNI and that the PSNI do what they're actually paid to do? And will you send and use this occasion to send a clear message of support and solidarity from your government to the people of North Louth and South Armagh, that this government stands with them in their opposition to criminality and in support of their right to a policing service which protects them and their neighbours?
Thank you. Please,
thank you, Deputy Adams, for your question. I condemn unreservedly the attempt to murder Francis McCabe. I condemned those who murdered Paul Quinn. I condemned those who murdered Adrian O'Donoghue unreservedly. I pledge that the government here will, of course, see to it that the resources are made available to the Garda Síochána and that they continue to have full cooperation, as they do, with the PSNI in the pursuit of criminal activities of any description, but most particularly those involved in the most serious crime, which is the murder or the attempted murder of any individual. Obviously, Deputy Adams may have some more information about particular individuals involved here, and I'm quite sure you will have given that information both to the Gardaí and the PSNI. And short answer to your question, yes, of course, the government are very concerned about this, condemn it unreservedly, and we will continue to liaise with the Garda Commissioner from her perspective in managing the cooperation with the Gardaí and the PSNI and the resources that are required in order to deal with these individuals, and this extent of very serious criminality will be made available to them.
Well, I thank you for your answer, Taoiseach, for Miller Margaret, but the silence from the government on this issue was noted in South Armagh. I was there on Sunday at the commemoration for the two Brendans. It turned out to be a huge gathering in defence of neighbours and against these criminal attacks. And the ongoing effort to demonise North Louth and South Armagh, the good people there, needs to stop. And I know that some of those who are engaged in these attacks have masqueraded as Republicans, but they're not Republicans. There's actually a very, very strong suspicion that some are agents working.
Please.
Concordia, could you ask the Deputy,
please,
to desist from what is essentially a serious issue? Nonsense from Fianna Fáil on these issues. Don't talk to me about legacy issues, sir. There is a strong suspicion that some of these are agents working to a different agenda from the rest of us. And they're opposed to Sinn Féin because Sinn Féin stands against their activities. And the vast majority of people in South Armagh support Sinn Féin, but even more people support the peace process. And there's no support. I was there. Children, elderly people, one old lady in her 90s, the whole representative of that rural Republican heartland, showing that they have no support for these activities and supporting those who are standing with the PSNI. Now, I have appealed time out of number, and I did it on Sunday again, for anyone with any information on the killing of Paul Quinn, Garda Donoghue, Keith Rogers, or the attack on Michael Ballew or Frank McCabe Jr., to give it to the PSNI or An Garda Síochána, or to give it to me, and I will give it to them.
Thank you, Deputy.
We need action, Taoiseach. We need to ensure that if in Garda Síochána require more resources to tackle this problem, then these resources will be made available to them. And will you join with me in conclusion in calling for greater cooperation between the PSNI and in Garda Síochána to deal with these issues?
Well, Deputy Adams, let me assure you that the government does not demonise anybody. And I, again, unreservedly condemn any attempts from any criminality or criminal elements to inflict damage on people or to have a serious attempt either to murder somebody or have murdered somebody. That's an attack on the state, it's an attack on democracy, it's an attack on humanity. There is the very highest level of cooperation between the PSNI and the Garda Síochána. I had a briefing some time ago with the Minister for Justice and the Taoiseach from the Garda Commissioner in respect of a number of these matters, and Garda have done an exhaustive amount of work with the PSNI in respect of these. These were terrible atrocities, and we recall the particular savagery of the murder of Paul Quinn, Adrian Donoghue, Keith Rogers and the others whom you mentioned. And I deplore these attempts to murder somebody by these particular individuals. So, insofar as the function of the Garda is concerned, it's entirely a matter for the Commissioner working with the PSNI, and obviously they have their own. They have their own very close relationship. So you can take it from me, and I assume, Deputy Adams, that the level of cooperation at the very highest level between PSNI and Garda is the way that it should be. And the resources that are needed to follow through exhaustively on these and hopefully bring these people before the courts is at its very highest level.
Thank you.
So I agree with you in this particular matter.
Thank you. Deputy Maureen Russell.
Taoiseach, the issue that I want to raise today